really just sideways.
Yeah, that's better.
Hello, hello, test, test, test. Yes, is that on? Can you help? Does anybody hear me? Is very low high enough? Okay. Hello, hello, test, 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 test. Test, 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 hello. Test, test. Woo! Hello, Toronto. This is not the beginning of the evening. This is just a test. This is just a test. So before we begin, hi everybody, my name's Adam Chapnick from Indiegogo. Nice to see everybody here. Welcome to the Indiegogo Toronto family. We love you. Mwah! Hi. So before we start, I'd like to invite the people on the first panel. If you guys can come forward to get mic'd, you may bring beer. That's allowed. No, I'm serious. You can. right now. I know we're all Canadian today. We don't, yes, I know. Great, so we're going to get mics. In a moment, I'm going to invite up our founder, one of our founders of Indiegogo, to say a few words. While we get mic to get everything sorted, we will prepare. Then we will begin. You will love it, I promise. You are guaranteed to leave tonight with a smile on your face and value in your hearts. Can I get an amen? Amen! Woo! All right. Stay tuned. 5 minutes. Oh, okay, yeah, one more thing. This is Andrew. I want everybody to wave to Instagram. Hi, Instagram. Woo! Okay, now the hashtag for anybody who's social media conscious this evening is Indiegogo Toronto, correct? How many people don't know what a hashtag is? How many people really don't know what a hashtag is? Okay, nice. I appreciate you. That's awesome. This is a way that you can mark comments that you're making on social media so that everybody who wants to know about this event tonight can search by that term and find out all the things that people are tweeting and posting on Instagram, Twitter, whatever. So if you're not on Instagram, Twitter, or whatever, get on it. And we'll wait 5 minutes while you do that. Okay, where's our guy? Okay.
So are we sitting in any particular order?
Any order at all.
We're just going to mic you up so then when you come on stage and you see this.
You gotta remember which chair.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah.
I call this chair.
I know.
Actually, it's fine. They're labeled A, B, C, D.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Yes.
I go in the middle so I can
You're already on.
Doesn't matter what.
So yeah.
Just remember your chair.
Yeah, you just put that in your pocket, and you can clip that to your shirt, and you're probably gonna have to.
see.
Just go straight down and you'll see them in.
How does this come in?
Talking into it like this hardly picks anything up.
Well, should we just be like, should we actually just probably do
Unwrap this. How'd you unwrap yours?
Mine's already unwrapped.
Oh, that's
It's an Indiegogo City. Yeah, no, it'd be awesome. I like freestyle.
I'll see if I can get you more volume on there.
We're getting Mike going down.
Testing 1, 2. Okay, so you just hold that in your pocket and try it.
Anywhere, doesn't matter.
Yeah, it's just,
Large
well,
bottles
it's
of water.
close to be as close as possible.
Like there? That's like, there we go. I can hear myself.
This is our water for It'd be better if they're like those jugs or just one.
On our, we need, I can't talk, I'm being mic'd already. I'm gonna turn.
Check.
No, I'm sorry.
Two.
See, Rob's doing it right. I'm like, do I conceal the mic? They know I'm wearing a mic. I know what you do.
I think they're.
Testing 1, 2, 2.
Of Niagara Falls. It's amazing. Oh, yeah. But Toronto's a great city. Killer food. Great food. Yeah, it's a little hot. You'll have no trouble finding cool stuff.
Oh, are they sparkling, man? I think I'm gonna stick with my.
Don't go to Canada's Wonderland. That's like
You like cork this thing? Who brought a cork? Who's done a cork?
Yeah, it's, no, you have to go like,
You're gonna be floating by the end of
you
the
have to do
yeah.
this.
Yeah, say crack them now, yeah.
I'm just glad I have an exit jar.
So we're supposed to, like, Danae is gonna speak first, so we have to step on. Rob, I think we spoke a long time ago.
I guess.
I am E.
Like years ago, but
I don't know if anyone can hear that.
I put mine on mute because I realized
Yeah, he is.
we did well.
see how well I can see my mute. I can seal my mute. She didn't even know.
No, I think she might still be. She was asking, "Are you on this panel?" And then she said, "Oh, you're not. You don't have a mic."
No, I
Because she didn't see it.
So they'll be on mute, but it's just an easy transition up. And then a second group of, as soon as you guys are done, how about you guys just stand here, and then we'll invite you, and then we'll give it to the second group.
Okay.
Now I'm thinking I should have peed.
You still can, man. We have it's lots of time.
Do we have lots of time?
Well, I mean, according to the pamphlet, it was 5:50. It's only 5:33.
How much do we have, Nina? Why do we have to be here at 4?
Dude, I've been going through the same thing. And I'm like so swamped. It's like, that was an hour I really needed.
So you up at the CFC or?
No.
You mentioned it. Oh, you just like rather than
No, no, it helped.
My friend did a residency there last year, like the
There's
first
another broadcaster
music residency there.
We have time to pee.
Oh, really?
I'm chugging this and I'm peeing.
Inevitably, I'm going to have to go during the panel.
I'm gonna stand there and have be gunshot. Like I'm gonna try to pee, and then it's gonna get to the precipice and be like, no, you're not gonna pee. And I'm like, but now I really, oh fuck, really?
Raising money to pay animators.
Wow,
I'll
this
just
is
pretend to be offended by something someone says and leave. That's what
storm
I'll
off.
do. I'll just wait for the person. Somebody, you know, I pinked your leg. It means
I mean, it's really another.
It's a bigger turnout than I expected. I was like, wow, I hope people show up. I hope it's not like 5 people.
they were saying it's
I think your mic is on.
Oh.
Well, I'm gonna tell the guy in the back, but I just heard you.
She's a good friend of mine from camp
Yeah, yeah.
years ago and stuff like that. So she's hilarious. So
Yeah, she's part of the whole maple gravy.
Is she part of it? 'Cause I remember at one point she was like, I'm not sure.
She wasn't sure because she was having
sure you're on mute.
get married, and
But now all her stuff's like falling through. She's like, take me with you.
it is.
No, no, no.
Oh no, we we wanted to get it done.
Excuse me for a sec.
Right, so you can add more people later.
Well, she was originally part of it.
Yeah.
And so when we were trying to get all the deals done with CAA, Stacy was on Glee.
Danae? I was going to introduce her, but hi guys. Okay, hi people. Hello, my folks, my folk. Volk. La 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 la. I will not be singing for you tonight. Don't worry. This just sometimes makes people be quiet and wonder what is that horrendous sound issuing from the stage. Hello, everybody. All right. So, as mentioned earlier, I'm Adam from Indiegogo. I want to give you a little sense of what's happening tonight. First, I want to thank everybody for being here. We announced this event a week and some ago, and within about 180 minutes, all of you had sold this place out, and people have been clamoring ever since to be here and are unable to because you have all the coveted seats, or not seats, standing room. Sorry for those who don't have seats. So we're really grateful that you've made the effort because you matter a lot to us, and we know that when you take time out of your day, we respect that, and we want to contribute value to you because we value you. That's something that we take pride in, being people who care about people. So a little bit about the way it's going to go tonight. I'm going to introduce Danae, who's one of our co-founders, who's going to say a few things. Then we have two great panels made up of local success stories who are going to talk about lots of things that are going to be useful to you based on what they've just been through in the trenches on Indiegogo. We're going to have some Q&A for both of those panels. After that, we're going to open up to some free play. Everybody, I hope, got drink tickets. Everybody got drink tickets? Yeah! Okay, thank you. I'm American. Can you tell? Okay. So after we break it down, I'm gonna introduce some of the people around the room who are we call them vertical leads. It's a very sexy title. Really just means people who are specialists in different categories that have a lot of use on Indiegogo. I'll introduce them. They'll be standing around the room in case you have a particular interest in what they're expert in. They'll be able to help you in the hour that we'll still have after the panels, and you can do Q&A with them. We may send some even upstairs to the second floor, so there's a little more ability to hear and have sort of a focused conversation. And we're going to deliver on what I promised, which is you will leave here with value, smarter about how to make your dreams happen, guaranteed, and that's that. So is Danae in the house? Is Danae in the house? Do we have a Danae? She's not in the house. Awesome. So soon. All right. What's your favorite song, sir? No, I'm just kidding. He's like, he's not talking to me. He's not talking to me. Okay. So how many people have heard of crowdfunding before tonight? Okay. Let the record show everyone. All right. So while we're waiting for Danae, I'm going to just say a couple of things. Okay. Well, first of all, how many people are in a creative field? Arts. Okay. How many people are in a cause? Like charity work? Nice. Entrepreneurial? Small business? Sweet. Wow. We got the whole gamut. Something you may or may not know. You probably do know. Okay. Well, duly noted, sir. So Indiegogo has 24 categories. We do all of the above. Creative, cause, entrepreneurial. How many people knew that? Everybody. Okay, good. Nice. Okay, so crowdfunding. It's called crowdfunding, right? Which sounds like it's about strangers giving you money, correct? It's called crowdfunding. So what I ask is that everybody here who thought they knew exactly what crowdfunding is, kindly take a moment to remove the lobe of your brain where you've stored that information and place it on the seat below you. And you can pick it up at the end of the evening. But what we're going to try and imbue in you is that crowdfunding has to do with money, but money is just one of the benefits of the exercise that you will engage in. Make sense? Okay. What do I mean? In crowdfunding, instead of thinking of it as a way to get money, I often say if you're asking for money, you're doing it wrong. Is that surprising? Okay, good. If you're asking for money, you're doing it wrong. What you should be doing is offering, making an offer to include people in whatever it is that you're up to in a way they've never been able to be included before, in the change that you're making either in the world, in your community, in your art form, whatever it is. People have wanted to engage with you and have never had that opportunity. Now, it may not literally be you. You may be a first-time director, a first-time entrepreneur, a first-time whatever. But they've wanted to engage because when I say they, I mean you. I mean me. We are funders, right? So crowdfunding is a way to include people in the difference that you're making in a way they've never been able to be included before, and they're happy to trade value for that, which is money. So if you know that what you're doing is making an offer, it'll never be icky or weird or difficult or strange or to ask for money. Because what are you doing? You're not asking for money, you're offering. And that's true. Helpful? Nice. Okay, so one bit of value, done. Okay, nice. Okay, see, even when we tap dance and stretch at Indiegogo, we provide value. So, okay. It is my deep honor to introduce to you one of the co-founders of Indiegogo, who several years ago, prior to 2008 when we launched in January of 2008, and we've been in Canada ever since, which a lot of people are surprised to discover. But the reason that Indiegogo exists in very large part is due to this woman standing inobtrusively against the wall down here. She had the idea that it would be really great to democratize finance in film and ultimately in all of the categories that we were talking about a minute ago. And from that kernel of an idea, she got two equally amazing people to get together and say, let's try and do this. And since 2008, she has been one of the driving forces in making Indiegogo happen and changing the lives of over 100,000 people on Earth. So it's like a huge honor for me to work with her and to be a part of the Indiegogo family. And hopefully you will give her a warm welcome, Miss Danae Ringelmann.
He's always the best introducer ever. So if you ever need to learn how to introduce anybody, talk to Adam. Hi guys, it is super, super, super awesome to be here. Our whole team that's here from Indiegogo, we've got category experts, we've got Adam, our evangelist, we've got Nina, our head of events, we've got Liz, our head of international. We've got a whole bunch of people here today because we're really, really excited to be here. We have been in Canada since day one. I actually was just looking up our very first Canadian campaign, and that was actually from over 5 years ago. It was a documentary about 5 women who were living on welfare, and I remember seeing that campaign. I said, this story needs to be told. And it raised its $2,500 that it needed to actually get out there. And I just remember being totally overwhelmed and totally excited that what my co-founders and I were trying to build was actually starting to work. And I guess to tell you kind of how it all came to be, this was like almost 10 years ago now. I was working in finance. I had actually been a daughter of 2 small business owners in San Francisco, and I had witnessed them for 30 plus years struggle to grow their business because not once could they get a loan. No bank would say yes. And despite that, they kept going, and I grew up moving furniture as part of it since it was a moving company. But it really bothered me that it was so, fundraising was so inefficient. And it was all because they just didn't know the right people. And so I went into finance to try to understand how this whole world worked and realized I actually had to leave finance to actually change it. Because when I was there, I started volunteering with filmmakers and some theater producers on the side, trying to help them raise money, thinking, hey, I've got expertise now, supposedly, in finance, and I can help them. And I actually kept failing over and over again. And it was in this culminating moment of trying to get an Arthur Miller play off the ground where we had this one-night event where we invited a whole bunch of people, 300 or 400 people to a venue. We got actors to volunteer their time. We got the audience there, and I worked my butt off for 3 months to get investors there so that they would witness the whole event, and at the end of the night, they'd write that big check, and the production would become an off-Broadway production. I'd become a Broadway producer, and I could leave finance forever. Totally didn't happen. They loved the production. It was amazing, and all they said to me at the end was, good job, that's awesome, good luck with that, we're not investing, we have different objectives. That was it. So 3 months of work down the tubes. And it was in that moment that I realized that the people who wanted the play to come to life the most, which were the actors and the audience, didn't actually have the power or mechanism to make it happen. And that's what needed to change. So I quit finance, and I went back to business school, and I met Eric Schell and Slava Rubin, my 2 co-founders, who themselves in parallel lives, who I didn't even know, were facing their own fundraising challenges. Slava, his father had died of cancer when he was a young boy, and he never really dealt with it, as he openly says. And so his one way of dealing with it was to try to raise money for cancer research. so that he could at least do something. And then Eric Schell had been struggling himself to try to raise money for a Chicago theater company that he cared deeply about and was pounding the pavement and, again, meeting failure. So the three of us came together out of this total mutual frustration to fix finance, because the people who want to bring ideas to life should have the power to actually make it happen. And that's when we started Indiegogo. And that was 8 years ago, and we just saw that YouTube was a place where anybody could upload a video, Twitter was a place where anybody could share their opinions. Why can't there be a place where anybody can fund what matters to them? It doesn't make sense that that doesn't exist. So that's what we built. And we built Indiegogo, and that was 2008. And what's exciting is that when I saw that first Canadian campaign, it just proved to me that this world is full of ideas, no matter where they are, wherever they are, and that we needed to be wherever they are. So what's exciting is now we've had over 10,000 campaigns across Canada raise money, which is amazing. You guys should all give yourselves a huge round of applause. It just proves the visionary, the entrepreneurship, the creativity that exists here. And when given the tools to make it happen, you guys make it happen. And so that's what's really powerful, and that's why we built Indiegogo. So we're really excited to be here. Tonight should be a night of celebration of all the success we've had to date, all of us have had to date here in Canada, as well as excitement for the future, because what we hope you'll find is lots of learning going on. Hopefully you'll learn a lot of best practices from some of our amazing campaign owners that have rocked it on Indiegogo. They probably did a lot of things right. They probably did a couple things wrong, or things they might have done differently next time. And so tonight is a night about sharing, learning, connecting, and really learning what it takes to really engage your audience, as Adam was talking about, and really make it happen. Because crowdfunding is not just about fundraising. It's about giving the world an opportunity to engage in the creativity and the ideation that you guys have the balls to go after and see through. And people want to be a part of that. People want to be a part of shaping the world around them. And that's what Indiegogo and you guys are doing. So welcome tonight. Can everybody who works at Indiegogo stand up or put your hand in the air so you know who they are? These are our category experts. So we have everybody from our music lead, and I don't know if you guys know, but we had one of the largest punk band campaigns raising over $350,000 for Protest the Hero here in Toronto. To we have our film lead, John, where are you? Put your hand up. We've got some amazing film campaigns out of Canada. We have our education lead, Bree. Put your hand up, Bree. Where are you, Bree? Maybe she went to the bathroom. Sorry about that. We have our nonprofit and cause and social innovation lead. We have lots of people, so please ask lots of questions. Please do a lot of learning, and we're really excited to be here. That's it.
Okay, panel, please join me on stage. I'm not going to introduce and do like the graduation walk. So these gentlemen, it is all gentlemen, which I apologize for. Nothing against gentlemen. Don't get me wrong. I'm obviously.
Everyone's got their crystal.
You know what I'm saying. So these are all individuals who are locals, who are great examples of campaigns that have run on Indiegogo. These are their campaigns, not according to the order that they are sitting, but we will clear that up. So 4 have completed. 1 is currently live, and we're going to learn right now some of the things that they've learned, and so that they can stick that in that lobe of the brain that I was hoping you'd keep open for new information. Is it open? Okay. All right. Periodically, I'm going to ask you things, and I'm going to want you to say woo or something, so I know that you're not ignoring me. Okay? Nice. Thank you. Thank you, Toronto. All right. Here we go. Okay, so the ostensible title of tonight's panel has to do with the full cycle of the campaign. And one kind of obvious way to break up the campaign is into the pre-campaign, the active campaign, and the post-campaign, right? So one thing I know from talking to campaigners is that after having run a campaign, they often say, oh my God, I wish I had blank before I started. So I'll have you, we have not discussed this before being here, so if anybody's like, yeah, no, I never asked that, I didn't think that, then I apologize. But I'm confident that that's not the case. So you guys, what I'm going to do is give you each a chance to kind of tell everybody what your project is, and then we're going to launch into that conversation to start. Okay? So first, Andrew, you've got a mic. You don't even have to touch it. I don't think. Let's test. Can you hear Andrew?
Check. 1, 2, cool. Hi, I'm Andrew Rosen, one of the producers of Todd and the Book of Pure Evil, which was a television series based out of Canada. We had 2 seasons, and after our second season, we didn't get renewed. We like to say we can only cancel ourselves. So, and our fans were up in arms because we actually left on some major cliffhangers. So we decided we wanted to give back to the fans and create an animated feature film wrap-up to wrap up all the storylines. So that's what we did to Indiegogo campaign. We decided we wanted to raise some money to, first of all, prove that we have an audience out there, and then raise money to actually raise money. So.
Mine's off.
Cool.
All right,
So,
we're good.
Todd and the Book of Pure Evil.
Nice.
How's it going? I'm Rob Cohen, and I'm the Being Canadian campaign, and we're still live. We're still in process. It's a documentary, a comedic documentary about what it really means being Canadian, and we have been very fortunate to get a lot of great people to participate, a lot of Canadians, a lot of comedic people, and some other great people that are not Canadian to get some perspective. And we're in the tail end of production, and we are in the tail end of our Indiegogo campaign. We're 20 days left.
Just run through the quick list of just who you have involved in.
The people that we've been very lucky enough to have participate, some of them, because I'll space out and forget.
Yeah, it's long, the list.
Mike Myers, Martin Short, Will Arnett, Michael J. Fox, Dave Foley, Dan Aykroyd, couple former prime ministers, Paul Schaefer, Howie Mandel, Alan Thicke, Morley Safer, a lot of awesome Canadians.
The entire country. That's right.
I think the only person left is my brother, but he's a jerk. So, and then we have some other.
If he contributes enough, at the end he'll get.
He's too cheap.
Too cheap. All right, very good.
And then we have some great people coming up, but that's our project, and we're still rolling.
Awesome.
I'm Jeremy Lalonde. I'm Sex After Kids, which is a film. It's a tragedy. The real life version is a tragedy. It's a comedic film, and the short story is that I had a film that was close to production, and then the financing disappeared, and I was really heartbroken and decided, kind of similar to the stories I was told earlier about just like, why can't I just, stop letting someone else tell me when I can make my next film, and I'll just go to the audience and get the money directly from them. And so that was kind of the inspiration for me. And yeah, I mean, I can talk a little more further, but yeah, that's essentially it.
Awesome.
Yeah, we raised the money, and we've been doing well. We're in film festivals right now. We have a Canadian distributor and sales agents selling the film around the world. So it's been
great.
We're very happy.
Nice.
Yeah.
So I joke with Jeremy that he's like one of the Mount Rushmore faces at Indiegogo, because they finished their campaign like 12 months ago. And in Indiegogo time, that's like 9 generations. You're like my great-great-great-grandfather of Indiegogo campaign success. So sorry. Indiegogo humor. Woo! Woo! Okay. Dan.
I'm Danny. I did the Glitch soundtrack campaign, and I was making music for a game that was very ambitious, and it didn't quite work out. But there was a lot of very enthusiastic players, and they wanted to know about a soundtrack, and the music isn't really in a form that that you could just kind of hand them a soundtrack. So I tried to get this campaign done right before the game closed its doors, and got a lot of support for it.
Awesome. Jarrett.
I'm Jared Kale, co-creator and writer and producer of
Is the mic work? Mike? Can we help?
I'll just talk really loud.
Yeah,
Jared
go on.
Kale, sorry. Oh, you know what? You muted me
I muted you while you were peeing.
after my slip up.
That's right. Hello? Oh,
Thank
that's so
you
much
for
better.
muting him.
Okay. I'm Jared Kale. I'm the co-creator, writer, and producer of Pure Ownage, which was a web series sort of pre-YouTube back in 2004. We used BitTorrent, fantastic technology. We were picked up for television on Showcase in 2010. We were unceremoniously not renewed. And we decided to finish our trifecta and move into film. So we decided to appeal to our audience to make Pure Ownage the movie, which may be the final Pure Ownage thing ever, or maybe a stepping stone to something bigger and better. And we had that financing campaign last October, and we killed our goal. We did really well, and we're very happy, and we're just entering pre-production of our film.
Amen. All right, so, hey everybody. Okay, so pre-campaign. Okay, there's certain things that I always tell people to do, we always tell people to do, but I'm not going to tip the hand. Who's got something that they feel like they wish they'd done? Yeah, Andrew.
Oh, wish I'd done. Oh.
Or
No,
did
I was
that you're
gonna say
glad you did.
Something that I was glad that we
Excellent,
did.
that
Yeah.
works.
Something that worked was just working on the messaging. Basically, because we had a show that people told us there was an audience for, but we actually didn't know if there was an audience. Everyone's like, oh, that's a cult hit, but we don't know if that means 5 people like it or thousands. So we wanted to make sure that the message was that the fans were. I think that might be my.
Keep it going, baby.
Maybe I'm rubbing balloons on my head. We just wanted to make sure that the fans knew we were doing it for them. We weren't doing it for the money, because we definitely aren't doing it for the money. We're doing it for the love and for finishing off. So we spent a lot of time crafting our message, saying, this is for the fans. It's going to be what you always want. It's going to be the same actors, the same writers, but it's going to be animated, because we knew a lot of fans would be disappointed. So we had to really craft our message so that our fans wouldn't turn off because they're like, oh, this is nothing like the original show.
Mm-hmm. So if you were going to, as in the pre-campaign, to craft the message, what do you think that gets you? What do you think why is that important particularly?
Well, there's a clarity to what our campaign was about. It was about giving something back to the fans.
Got it. So, and on the crafting your message side, I think, does anybody else have a similar or different experience?
What they would do or would not do?
Either.
I wouldn't have put myself in it because it probably scared people, but I think...
Can you guys hear him? No. Okay.
No. I was not peeing, which is weird.
Yes.
Yeah, it's got a level.
There it is.
Maybe it's bad. How's that?
No, that's better.
Better?
Better? No?
Better? Better now?
Speak up,
All
yeah.
right. All right, let me try to tighten this.
So you're saying you think you shouldn't have been in the video, or are you kidding?
Well, that's my own issues. That's a different panel.
Okay, different panel.
Yeah.
Later we'll discuss
Exactly.
personal issues.
No, I think that we probably launched it at a different time. We had a lot of holidays during our campaign. We've got 4th of July coming out, Canada Day. We had Memorial Day in the States. So it seemed like there were a few momentum timing things that we might have waited for. That would be it would be a timing issue.
Timing for launch around holidays. So let's just, I hate to ask, but let's all make sure that we're talking as loud as we can for all our pals in the back of the room. So that's a great point. When you do all your work, you have to decide when are we going to start, and you have to decide when are we going to finish. Little stat I will share at this juncture is the average length of a campaign that reaches its goal on Indiegogo. Any guesses?
37.
Very close, very close. 47 days is the average length. That doesn't mean you must have a 47-day campaign. That means probably somewhere 30 that work, 60 that work, but 47 is the average. So, but a lot of people forget that it actually matters a lot when you start, because if you say you start right before a long holiday when everybody goes away, bye-bye momentum. And momentum is key to a crowdfunding campaign. We will, I'm sure, touch on that again. Anything else about pre?
Did 47 days exactly, actually.
Oh, look at that.
I mean, our big thing was starting on a Monday and ending on a Friday, because one thing that crowdfunding campaigns die on the weekend because people aren't at their computers a lot, and that's when it's all done through the internet. So you get momentum at the very beginning and you get momentum at the end. So you want your first week to be when people are most active at the computer. So you start on a Monday, you go through, and you get the momentum. At the end of the week, and if you're ending your campaign on a Monday, your momentum's coming, and the weekend nobody's there. So you're killing your end of your campaign or your beginning. Like just to follow what you said.
No, it's an absolutely awesome insight that I actually had never explicitly said to people until you expressed it. There is if you were to graph what happens on your campaign, steep jump in the first several days, tends to slow down during the middle, and then another steep jump at the end. So plan for that, and don't cut yourself off by planning it. Like if you're going to end on a Monday, you were saying specifically upstairs, what'll happen if you're going to end on a Monday?
You just have no momentum over your final weekend. You have nobody there pushing, going rah rah rah. If you're leading up to a Friday, people are paying attention.
Yeah, I think that's really good, a good tip.
Yeah, we put because I did about a month and a half to 2 months of research in campaigns before we launched, and just looking at campaigns that did really well, why they did well, and ones that didn't do well, and why they didn't. And what I noticed too is that campaigns always had a huge lull in the middle. And so our plan was to make sure every week we had a new video or new interviews, new content, and we're always changing the conversation. Like you were saying, never ask for money. It was always, here's how you can get involved in this. But always making sure every week we had a new thing to offer and add to keep things going on during the middle of the campaign. Because that was more important to me than the beginning and the end.
Yep.
Keeping things going in the middle.
That's great. Yeah, I'm going to wait till second part.
Sure,
No, it's perfect. It's great. So I'm just going to ask everybody, if you're going to talk, it's cool, but step out into the lobby, have a conversation, come back. Agreed? Yeah. All right. Yeah. So, and then we're going to try and be extra loud. I know it's not Canadian, but I'm going to ask you to step into my American shoes. I'll give you my killer American shoes, and you can, let's pretend. Let's be loud. Okay, so more pre-campaign prep. Anything that you did do, pure ownage?
I did.
Didn't do.
I took a really nerdy book approach. Because it's not really new. Crowdsourcing's been around 5 years. Indiegogo, you were saying. So there's been a ton of previous campaigns. So I started looking through every campaign that was successful, everyone that wasn't successful,
awesome.
Extrapolating why I thought that was. Indiegogo has a blog, and they post really cool statistics. And a lot of them I found were counterintuitive. And the more research I did, the more I realized I have to do more research because things like asking for $75,000 on average results in more total money than asking for $125,000, even though that might be what you need. So when we came in and we budgeted for $150,000, we ended up asking for $75,000 based on the research I did.
Beautiful.
And that it was more likely to gain momentum as you approach your goal and hit your goal and whatnot. So don't assume anything. Do your research because a lot of it's counterintuitive. I didn't expect it all.
Totally
what I learned. And also that even to go farther than just Monday to Friday, your time zone matters too. Anytime we'd make any sort of big Twitter announcement or anything, I'd always do it in an hour because we have almost no audience in Asia. It's almost exclusively North America, Europe. So I would never make an announcement before noon Eastern Standard because that's 9 a.m. Pacific when people are awake. And it's evening in Europe. So if you want maximum traction on any sort of social media movement, you really want to hit that period where everyone's awake and maybe they're at work, they're in front of a computer. So beyond Monday to Friday, which is amazing advice that I didn't take and I should have, but even hour of the day matters, man.
I love it. And there's actually websites, and we can crowdsource this. There's websites that share what are the most effective times to tweet for retweets. There's anybody know what those are? I'm not. Okay, yeah. So ask around, look it up. That's great advice. Also, be aware of when you're, tweeting, when you're sharing, because that can help. Just a shout out for that Indiegogo blog. There's on the Indiegogo blog, which sometimes is not so easily discoverable, the very bottom of Indiegogo.com, it says, visit our blog. And on that, there's a section called Insights. And it's all things like he was just spouting off, like if you have a goals of under $100,000 result in more funding than goals of over $100,000, which is counterintuitive. Other counterintuitive things have to do with the updates, which are what Jeremy was talking about. We'll talk about that in a sec. Okay, so anything else in terms of in the prep? In the prep, there's things like making your video, making your perks, making your pitch. Were there any of those things that you're glad you did or wish you'd done?
I mean, one thing we did too was just really making sure we knew who we were going to target for our audience. Like ours is obviously young parents or anyone that has a kid in that realm. So what I did is I compiled a list of mom bloggers and tweeters that once the campaign went live, I knew I could go to and say, would you, if you like the video or whatever we're doing, can you retweet it or just throw us a love or whatever it is. Like, you don't give us money.
Oh, cool. Nice.
So it's just a matter of really figuring out who your audience is.
Point it into the mouth, like woo, right there. Hello.
There we go. Really figuring out who your audience is before, so that once you launch, you can target them right away.
Love it. So there's three things. The three things that I point out to people about campaigns. You have your project, right? You have your message, and you have your audience. You might be wrong about any one of those three, and your campaign won't work. You don't always know whether you're wrong, but your project might be great, or it might not be that great. Sorry, it might not be. Your message might be great, or it might not be that great. And your audience might be right, or it might be wrong. You might have Todd in the Book of Pure Evil going out to the AARP, and that might not be,
Not
be
if
huge.
you saw our first episode of our season 2. It takes place in a senior's home and doesn't end well.
Even more reason that's the wrong audience. So a huge audience, but mismatched. So do some thinking and work around the quality of the project, the quality of the message, and the match of the message to the right audience. Sorry.
Yeah, and I was just going to say, because we were an established show before, we actually had some super fans, like evangelists of Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. So I actually went to, like someone had put together a change.org petition to bring back the show and had 11,000 signatures. Someone did a really super website. Someone made a video documentary series about saving Todd and the Book of Pure Evil. So I went to all of these people in advance and said, you guys are going to be the ones to spread the word. And that really helped.
Perfect. So we talk about either something called a host committee or launch committee. If you remember from old model charity functions, there might be 20 people on the host committee down the side of the page for the annual dinner, and their job was to get people to buy the table at the $5,000 dinner, whatever. I strongly suggest that you assemble something like that, which is your core group of supporters. Tell them before you launch that you're going to be launching. Do what we call a soft launch, where you make your campaign live on day one, get your host committee to contribute, get their people to contribute so you get up into some momentum, then launch on day 2 with whatever blogs or whatever outreach you can do. And so when people come, they're more likely to contribute. There's a stat that we like to share. It's somewhat anecdotal, but we've observed it across our 100,000 plus campaigns and over years of doing this, that while lots of campaigns on Indiegogo are funded 70, 80, 90% by total strangers, they're never the first ones in. And it usually between 20 and 30% of your goal, no matter what the amount, is accounted for by your first circle. So if you know that, get your first circle to that number day one, because then everybody who's referring your campaign is going to show up as a stranger and see you at that threshold and not be thwarted by it not being there. Make sense? Okay, cool. Sorry. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So, okay, anything else about pre-planning? Anyone?
Went through my Rolodex. Over the years of making Pure Orange, we had a lot of contacts in the industry of video gaming and esports and everything, and I let them all in on the secret before. So it was big news there was going to be a movie, and then everyone felt like they were in the inner circle. So as soon as we launched, I had so many immediate retweets that it created this huge momentum, and then we crushed our goal on the first day. And then, of course, it slows down a lot after that, but it was, we just jumped out of the gates so quickly. I think even you sent me an email. You're like, I don't know who you are, man. But good job on the first day.
Good for me.
So, yeah, so leverage all that, because still, even though this is the Wild West of new financing, still, there's a lot of handshakes involved in the game of financing. And you all have friends and family, and everyone email them. Like, I mean, really reach out to everyone you think might be interested in and who might be able to share that message. And you want to do that right out of the gate, first 48 hours to build that momentum.
Totally. All right, let's move into the campaign, active campaigning. So that assumes you made your pitch, you made your fantastic video, including you in the video, because you've overcome any personal issues you have on that. And in fact, his video is awesome. It's really funny with him in it. So you can all watch that and then send him an encouraging email later. So you have your perks. You've decided on your perks. The tone of your entire front page matches the tone of your campaign because you want to presence that on your page. Now you're running the campaign. What do you do? What did you do that you felt really worked? What roadblocks did you hit that made you freak out a little bit? Anyone? Oh, let me just give a shout out to Danny for a second. In his video, What was unusual about your video, Danny?
I sang my pitch. I sang the pitch.
He's all right. Later, when we get a couple of drinks, we're going to force him to chug 2 drinks and sing his pitch. Okay, so I just wanted to give him a shout out. To my knowledge, he's the only person who's ever actually sung his entire pitch.
Actually, I was
Not the only person. Sorry.
I wasn't sure what category this would fall in, but I thought I did a lot of work and had a lot of help with making the perks very clear.
Oh, awesome.
And
what do you mean by clear?
The first few rounds were, well, I think it's possible, it's very easy to make the perks confusing to people. And especially if they're cumulative. And
yes.
And so I had a lot of help with that, and I think that would be something that I felt like worked out in that I did many revisions before it went live.
Awesome.
And had a lot of people look at it and tried to gauge the clarity of the message.
That's a great tip, because he's talking about cumulative. Anybody doesn't know what he means? A lot of times when you make a perk, you'll say, $10 you get X. $50 you get everything in the 10 plus Y. 75 is everything in 10 plus. It gets a little confusing because then you're reading, okay, I get this, and then I get this, and I get this, and then wait, but does that sound like this? And that can be very confusing, although a lot of people do it with a lot of success.
Well, I think yeah, if it's not conditional, I think it's the best if you can just include everything that came, like if it is very clear that you get everything, you get this new perk plus everything else that everybody else is getting.
Yeah.
I mean, that's clear. And I think the first couple rounds it wasn't.
Great.
The way we did it was we had a couple limited edition perks. Like for one of ours is that you could name a character in the film for a certain price point.
Awesome.
And so anytime we had but that was there's 15 characters in the film, so only 15 people could buy that perk. So and all the wording after that would be everything above except for limited availability perks.
Got it. That's a good tip too. So something you can do is you can set a limited availability for a perk. If there's only one, you can say one available. When it's taken, it says sold out. Cool. Okay. So in the campaigning itself, let's hear something that freaked you out, that didn't work. You thought it was going to work, it didn't, or sometime where you thought, uh-oh, we got to come up with something. And did anybody have any doubts? Never. No doubts. I'll sit. Andrew.
Well, we did we're just. When we planned it, basically every week I want some sort of event or a new perk just to keep momentum going. And then at one point everyone's like, my band wants to be in your film, my band wants to be. So I was like, oh, let's have a soundtrack contest or something like that.
Oh, nice.
And it worked. We found a band, but it was just, we just got inundated with comments from people just saying really rude and weird things, basically. And I'd say 0% of those people actually contributed anything monetarily, but we learned a lot of words.
You learned a lot of words.
I mean, they're all metalheads, and they're positive words for their bands, but they're rude words on our page. So
got it. Well, you had a lot of rude words on your own campaign.
Yeah,
page.
but we chose those.
Let me give you
words.
that shout. Yes, you chose those. Also, I was saying, Andrew, I went over some of these campaigns, the videos again. I hadn't seen them in a while, just for this panel. And I literally did a spit take on my lap when I was going through his campaign because it was so effing funny. So I strongly encourage you to
Well, it's kind of like the medium is, like we want to write our campaign in the style of the show.
And that's brilliant because no matter what you do, your mission should come through in the campaign itself. I strongly urge you to have the name of your campaign reflect the spirit of whatever it is that you're doing or creating, the vibe of the tone of the video, the tone of the writing. And you did that great in your current campaign as well. Of course, you have a little bit of experience in writing. Does everyone know who this guy is? Okay, good. Ask him later. Ask him later. You'll be impressed. So, okay, other things in campaigning.
Yeah, I mean, I definitely agree that tone is the key. And what we learned, good and bad, is I initially thought that our thing was going to appeal specifically to Canadians. And when I would show it to American friends of mine beforehand, it's sort of a classic stereotype. A lot of them are like, oh, I don't really know that much about Canada. And then I would try to craft it to make it easier for them, but then I found that the Canadians got pissed off, which is our birthright. And so it sort of was back and forth trying to discover the tone, and then myself and the other producers, we just decided what's going to be the best representation of the piece you ultimately see, because that's what you're really selling. And
what you're describing is in the video. I mean, everything you just said comes across in the video.
Oh, that's good.
About how Canadians are angry because it's part of the video. It's literally explicitly in the video.
It is, but in a good way and a bad way, and that's sort of what the film is about. Is there's American friends of mine have looked at it and like, that trailer was really funny. You really educated me about Canada. And what I'm hearing is wallet closing, but instead it's like, well, now that we've enlightened you, why don't you break the piggy bank a little bit? Throw us a couple bucks, Mr. TV. But it's I think the tone is a very important thing, and Todd in the Book of Evil is a great example, because the internet appeals to anybody anywhere in the world, and you want to make it digestible, but also have people choose your particular product or campaign once they appreciate the tone. Instead of going, we're selling oranges, you want to go, these are the juiciest oranges, and you're going to have so much vitamin C and whatever it is. And I think that's, especially with anything comedic, I think it's a killer, or it's a big help.
Okay, there's an old marketing saw that goes, features tell, benefits sell. Anyone ever heard that? I love that. Okay, live it. What it means is when you tell people about what you're doing, or a feature of your widget, it's got this many this and that many that, goes this fast and whatever, while it's closing, right? But when you tell them, it makes you look younger. Wow, I'll take $500 worth, please. That's benefit, sells. The other saw is, the more you tell, the more you sell. So this is counterintuitive. Oh, I don't want to overwhelm people. I don't want to overwhelm them. But the more you tell people about the benefits, and the more about other people who do this, and how wonderful it is, the more you tell, statistically, the more likely people are to give you money. So
I don't want to keep droning on, but I think that's a great point, because just looking at Indiegogo versus other crowdsourcing sites, to be unnamed, I think that not that I know of, not on this panel, but I think that there's flashy stuff, and again, we were, with the Canadian thing, we didn't want to be too pushy, but at the same time you realize there's a lot of competition, so you have to, what we've learned on Indiegogo is that you want to make it exciting, but continuously exciting, and that it's not just static or white noise, that people actually are, when they check in, it's a benefit, or if they're thinking about donating, but they'll get to it in a couple days, they want to continue to be surprised. And I think whether it's music or a video game or something, that you're constantly exciting them, but also I think it helps you. It certainly has helped me to try to continue to make it exciting, besides knowing that there'll be other additional stuff. You have to show that there's other additional stuff.
Right.
That has been a great education.
Yeah. There's in the Insights blog, there's a fantastic graph that people love for good reason, that goes from down here to way up to that Indiegogo logo in a relatively straight line. And it is the correlation between number of updates during your campaign and amount raised. And everyone's like, oh, okay, the more you think, yeah, I get it, that sounds right. And then I will remind you that updates on your campaign go to people who have already given you money. So why, if down here is 0 to 5, and up there the number is 31, so you know, 31 updates, and the percentage is 408, 408% more money, or 408% of the money you make with 0 to 5, when you update people who already gave you money. That's kind of surprising and counterintuitive. There's something I call the crazy sibling phenomenon. Ask me later. I'll explain what it is. Just suffice it to say, in short, it means when you tell people you have a great new idea, and you tell your brother, your sibling, you're like, oh, Jesus Christ, another idea from you. Here's 20 bucks. Good luck. Why didn't you go to law school, right? And then you update, and it becomes more and more real, more and more successful, more and more people validating, and they're like, oh my God, I'm so proud of my brother. Here's $100, and I'm going to share it on Facebook. My brilliant brother's new project. And that's what happens. Okay.
I'm excited by it. To build on what Rob was saying, one thing that we were we didn't do a soft launch when we did ours because we didn't think about doing a soft launch.
But we also knew that looking at like $50,000, which was our initial goal, like, that's a big goal to be like, help us raise $50,000. So I wanted to make sure that we had an initial push early on, and so it was more about like the steps of the mountain. How do we get to this first step, and when should we be at that first step? So it was a matter of figuring out ways to be like, if we raise $10,000 by this date, we'll do this, or we'll add this, and that kind of stuff. And
Hey, tell them about the chipmunk costume.
Okay, so this is, so I decided that I'm like, we don't want to do anything that costs money, and my pride is worth nothing. So we said that if we raised $10,000 in the first week, I would put a chipmunk costume on and go to a playground and play with my children. And we raised $13,000 in the first week. But it was, this chipmunk costume I have is thin, and it was March, and I did not want to go. Not because I was going to do it, so I needed a way to kind of like postpone it without pissing people off. And so I managed to, one of the actors in the film volunteered to do it with me. So we decided to make an additional thing that if we raised, I think, 80% of our budget 2 weeks prior to the end of our campaign, that she would join me. And that just caused a stir of people getting excited, getting involved. But the thing that surprised us most about that was the day we went and did it right away, posted the video, and the day that we posted the video, we got $8,000 in contributions from people that were really impressed that we did it. And a lot of them were people that had already given us money. It was almost like a thank you for actually making good on it, which was the thing that surprised us the most. Like, we knew there was going to be money coming up leading it. We never expected the money to come in from posting the video.
So over 60% of campaigns that reach their goal on Indiegogo have contributors that contribute to the same campaign more than once. Wow. All right. Cool. So let's talk, all right, more about the execution. Anything that was surprising in terms of a perk that didn't work that you thought would, a perk that was like sold out and you wished you had more of, anything about like that? Nothing around perks? Bueller?
Yeah. I would just say I think our perks might have been overwhelming, and I think you explained it really well, that they need to be clear, but you need to kind of refresh them and make them exciting, and also limited time offer and that sort of stuff, just to keep it snappy. But it almost, in our experience, even though we're ongoing, that it almost feels like the basic amount of perks, but keep mixing those up, seems better than having a lot of perks, because it becomes like, you know, a buffet at a restaurant where you're just like, where's the bacon? That's it. So we're actually talking about adjusting that just to make it simpler. And I think refreshing it as Indiegogo newbies, but that seems to really help with the campaigns that have been successful.
That's great.
Yeah, and actually one of our perks that we had planned and this one we knew was going to work was these T-shirts, because throughout the year after we got unrenewed, our fans were always like, where can I get one of those gym shirts from the show? And we were never selling them because they were just very special. We only made 12 of them at the time. So then I knew the fans really wanted these things. So we made 250 limited editions, and they went for $40 a pop.
Nice.
And that was by itself. And so they went within a day. And that renewed interest also that was like right in the middle of our campaign. So we didn't quite do the dip like that. We, rode the waves.
That's great. No, that's good. So you released that in the middle as a limited edition new thing. That particular tactic is a great one, because perks that release midstream actually outperform other perks often on a campaign. And it's a great way to goose participation. It's a great way to goose additional contributions from the same people, because they came in at whatever that level was and got with the other thing, and they would have wanted this, and they're like, all right, I'll give you that too. It also is great for
they're more
sharing.
glad than that, but yeah.
More glad, yes. So, Jarrett, were you going to say something? No? Hold it? Okay.
Not so specifically
all right, great.
to perks.
Hey.
I mean, I guess our highest tier, we didn't sell any of the $10,000 perks, so obviously I wish we redid that one. Clearly, we didn't upsell properly. It was like an extension. It was like executive producer, and because already the perk below was like meet us in person, attend the live premiere, like hang out and play games. And it's how do you top that? Because we're appealing to existing fans. We're trying to offer them things that, beyond DVDs and beyond sort of pre-selling your product, you're trying to give them a once in a lifetime experience or something very unique. And I think maybe we arrived too early with with the tier below that. So in hindsight, I guess we could have added, but a lot of thought went into that upselling, I guess, which made me feel very dirty. But you always like, well, I'm already pitching 200. Look at 250 gets me like $80 in value,
Right.
and then you're always trying to think of like, how do you upsell that?
Engagement. It's awesome. So,
Just to jump in, the producer credit thing, we did the same. We offered producer credits for ours. The one thing to keep in mind if you're doing that is you can fuck yourself for tax credits if people that are not Canadians buy into that. So you have to keep that in mind. I mean, if you're doing a crowdfunding campaign, the chances of you needing your tax credits aren't necessary because you don't have potentially a lot of money to pay back. But if you're just doing, if you're doing crowdfunding as a way to top up your money otherwise, and your budget's bigger, it's just something to be very, very cautious of that it can bone you for that.
That's a great point. One other thing that came up like that recently, it's not specific to that, but it was a strange thing I hadn't heard but had to do with taxes, is beware of starting a campaign in December that runs into January. Now, I don't know enough about Canadian tax.
Unless you're offering Christmas stuff.
Well, just vis-a-vis taxes, it gets confusing because your income comes in 2 different years, and it's confusing about expenses because you write them off against. Anyway, be careful of that. So, okay, so post-camp. Oh, yeah, you have one, Danny?
Yeah, I take into account the amount of work that goes into fulfilling the perks in terms of getting people's information. That was really unexpected for us. There's a lot of organization, and I'm really lucky to have found somebody to help me. I'm not a spreadsheet person, but I got some help in that area, and it was a lot of work for her. And so I think you go in looking for your funding. You got your funding. You think, now I can get to work on my project. Well, there's this whole other like for me, it was getting to the soundtrack and putting these tunes together for people, but it almost equal to that project was or like gathering information for people and the perks. The other thing was that I didn't think of was the shipping. We had because it was cumulative. The shipping, like we had posters, and then we have like square little blocks and plus CDs. So there's no. The packaging is going to kind of be crazy for that, and I wish I had thought of that beforehand.
No, it's crazy, but totally
shipping
absolutely happens all the time. So on that, it's good. We're kind of segueing into fulfillment, but it also goes with planning your perks. So I always urge, if to the degree that you can offer perks that are experiential or digital, do it. And experiential means meet someone, or have a Skype conversation with them, or come to the whatever set or the lab, or to the site where we're going to dig wells in Mali. All of those things don't have to be shipped. And also scalability, remember, which means things that are as easy to do for one person as they are for 100. So that would be like an ebook, or a digital download of a song, or an album, or poster art, JPEGs, or high definition poster art, or whatever, high resolution, excuse me. Anything like that is great, because shipping can kill, and beware. So, but fulfillment, any other things around fulfillment, how you're getting stuff to people?
Yeah, we have the same issue where like shipping, we ask people to contribute on top if they were from the US or international for shipping, but still it's, with the film, the costs come out of nowhere, and we're selling it, so errors and emission insurance, a DCP for our release, like all these costs, lawyer fees, they keep mounting, and that we were just initially, this is enough to get us into production and out and that kind of stuff. But I mean, also with the perks fulfillments, it's also anything you have to physically create, and especially if you're doing any autographs, like the physical time it takes to get people to do that kind of stuff is another job on top of just whatever you're making. To keep in mind, just make sure you know what you're getting into and how much time it takes, because that's something we still deal with, and it's it's a pain.
I love it.
But we do it for the fans because we love you.
That's right. You care. So let's take some questions on anything. If we can, we're going to have another panel about marketing and PR after we take a break. But so for this, anything relating to creating the campaign, running the campaign, post-campaign, interacting with funders, things like that. Any questions you have for the gang? Sir in the hat. Let me come down there. Hang on. So everybody can hear. Everybody's been standing up. You're all troopers. I love you.
Thanks. I noticed that a lot of you have existing communities and of fans. Would I be fair to say all of you did? And if all of you didn't, can I hear from someone who didn't and how you were able to scale?
Good question.
Since I happen to be holding the mic, I will answer that. The question was about existing communities. When people went into campaigns, did they have existing communities or did they not have existing communities? I'm assuming you mean online, Facebook, Twitter, things like that, that they took advantage of. So I will answer on the side that did not, because I was not on Twitter, not on Facebook, didn't understand it, thought it was time-consuming, actively avoided it, and so I'm just getting an education on that now with our campaign, which is still going on, and definitely learning the good superpowers and the evil superpowers that it has. And it's certainly time-consuming, but I think it's something, in my brief experience, you can get into and use for your campaign. And I don't plan on being on Facebook after our campaign is done, but it's certainly helpful and great communicating with people. We're doing our cross-Canada trip, you know, with our clock being Canada Day, and it's actually been really impressive to see that people are tracking your movements. It's a little creepy, but it's very impressive, the powers of it, if you use it to your benefit. So I'm a novice at this.
Cool. Jeremy.
Oh, I mean, I didn't really myself. We had some actors in the film that had a community that we used to tap into, and then I just tried to tap in. I just looked at my demographic and just found ways to tap into that because I didn't necessarily have a following. I kind of do now to a very small degree, but at the point I didn't. So we just used the themes and that kind of stuff to try to find out ways that we could outside of our own.
Nice. We have another question here. Oh, another answer there? Jarrett?
I was just going to say that, you know, if you're coming into it and you don't have your own community around some IP that you've built in the past, like most of us up here, then keep in mind that there's a specific, I think, type of person that's crowdfunding online right now, and it's a very confident online consumer. Like, they're way beyond buying a t-shirt off Amazon. They're confident enough to go forward and give money to a product that doesn't even exist yet. Chances are, and I don't mean to stereotype, but they're probably, you know, more technologically inclined, a bit more nerdy, like me, because that's me. That's my, you know, my generation, my friend group, you know, the early adopter group. So if you have a few ideas, you know, if your heart isn't married to one idea, then you're going to want to choose an idea that's more likely to appeal to the people that are currently funding everything. You know, like a romantic comedy that might be brilliant in your brain. It just might not be the best climate right now to crowdsource that in. So you might want to make something about, you know, spaceships, or maybe something about, you know, fantasy and dragons, or something about, you know, target existing communities if you don't have your own. There are a lot out there right now. Maybe it's some sexy vampire, there's a lot of zombie stuff going around, but just look for what's working right now and target that. Use someone else's community. It doesn't have to be your own. And I think you'll probably have more success, but who am I?
Nice. So sexy vampires, write it down.
Genius.
Hello. First and foremost, I'd like to say I'm a big fan of Todd and the Pure Book of Evil. Very disappointed that went off the air. Aside from the gore and sex, it's probably one of the smartest shows on television. With that said, just out of the panel, obviously you've run very successful campaigns. How many times would you have to tweak it? Was there a learning curve? Did you just come out very hard with it? Were you successful off the get-go? How many times did it take you to tweak these perks? And was it?
Yeah, it's well. So for the Todd campaign, it was a lot of prep. Like, you know, we're kind of anal that way, and you know, we studied Pure Onage's campaign. We studied some campaigns that didn't work and talked to those people. You really have to do a lot of research and work out your plans before, especially the cost of perks and how many you can afford to do and how many should be digital. But then during it, it really is a daily grind. Like we did it 40 days, 40 nights to try and be a very kind of biblical, satanic a little bit. But it was an exhausting 40 days and 40 nights for me. Like it's just constant. Sometimes you're explaining things to people, but people really like it because it's another form of social media, and people were surprised that I would respond to them right away if they had a question. So, and then in terms of tweaks, It's a daily thing. I don't think you'll ever you should never put a campaign down and expect it to work on its own. You have to actually always be working it.
Cool. Anyone else on that? Oh, no, we got another question right here.
Hi. I just have a question in terms of, did you find that there was a certain sweet spot for donation level or just kind of perk level that you found that people really responded to and that a lot of people went for?
Ours were, we had a $25 level that was a digital download of the film, and then we had a $100 level that was digital downloads of this film, my previous film, and also physical DVDs, and those were generally our most popular items.
Reading the Indiegogo blog prior
Nice.
to making my campaign, I learned that while the most frequent number of donations is like $10, $25, the actual total, in terms of percentage of your financing, often comes at the $100 tier. And so using that, we sort of built a $100 tier around what we thought our existing fan base would want, and then just sort of incrementally upsold them to what we think that someone that could afford $100 would probably be willing to spend for something they really wanted, which was like $200 or $250. And that was really successful for us. We had a lot of donations in the $100 to $300 range from people who would probably only normally spend $100, but when you're offered like a once-in-a-lifetime, never getting this again if you don't do it before the product exists. And then we had a lot of upsells and people coming back for a second, people actually came back and sort of upgraded their original purchase and stuff like that. But another thing I mentioned before we just end, and it's never good to be overly optimistic, and I think we were very, very fortunate to hit our goal so early, but one position we got put in, and you might want to think about in case you're in that position, is once you've hit your goal, like how do you justify the rest of the financing? So, we were 20 hours in, we hit our goal, and we're like, well, shit. Like, how do we tell people to keep giving us money, right? What do we offer? So, in our case, we started digging through our archives and saying, if we hit this amount, we'll release this unreleased, previously archived footage. If we hit this amount, and we just kept sort of, carrot sticking our fan base along and getting them to just keep upping it because they want to see that unforeseen footage. But it's something to consider. It's not just about how do we reach our goal, but once you reach it, how do you keep the funds rolling in?
Yeah, stretch goals. Everybody know the term? So that's something you can start thinking about when you create your campaign. Is you make the case for how much money you need at a certain level, but be prepared to itemize. If we get 50, we're going to do this. If we get 75, that'll let us do that. 90, it's going to be this, and 100, etc. We call those stretch goals. We don't call it, but that's been a term that's been sort of co-opted in the crowdfunding space. Okay, wait.
I had a comment about
Yes.
sweet spot for perks.
Great.
I got some good advice. I think when we structured ours, it was like we had a lot of, so there was a digital download of the music, and then the tier differences were big enough that you felt like you were getting a deal with the one underneath, but you also felt like you were getting, like they were at first the advice that I got was that the differences in tier levels weren't enough, and so by the digital download was $40, but if you give me $67, you get the CD, but a big booklet with it, and we'll also throw in a poster or a print or something like that. So there was really the feeling like, well, I'm gonna go big, but also feeling like you were gonna, yeah, there was a payback, but also it also encouraged the people who are going cheaper. Well, this is that much cheaper, and I'm getting the whole album digitally. It's a no-brainer. So we had a lot of people going for that, and then we had like a big tier was a music or like an item from the game that I created with a collaboration was making a physical item from the game that people could kind of help them, put on their mantle and relive. There was a big emotional attachment, but there was a big, that was another sweet spot.
Cool. We got one more question. I'm gonna
just always make sure you have something available for $1, because some
Nice.
people have nothing, or they have at least $1, and even if it's just like exclusive updates on a mailing list, and then you get their email address.
That's a good suggestion. Yeah, the email list as a perk is beautiful. Okay, one more here.
During your campaigns, how much time did you spend dealing with the campaign and speaking to customers?
I'll start. It was literally a part-time to a full-time job. I'd get home from work, and I'd either be updating the campaign with whatever we had already planned, or I'd be going on Facebook or Twitter or wherever and thanking individually every single person who contributed or liked the page or whatever, because that's, again, it's like they don't expect that. And that just blew a lot of people's minds and makes them want to share even more because you came and thanked them personally. So I mean, that's the biggest thing, is like you're selling an experience and you're making them feel like they're part of it. And if they feel like you thanked them, they're going to want to share it even more. Anyway, a lot of time.
Nice.
Yeah, I'll just very quickly add to that. I think that's a great point. We're trying to personally thank everybody, and we've been sending these e-certificates, and obviously we're trying to get Canadians into it for Canada Day, but beyond just the Canadians, I think the personal touch is something that we've really noticed people respond to, because it's not just, again, a wall of stuff. You're actually having a correspondence, which seems to be very helpful as we're still in process.
Beautiful. All right, one more over here.
Actually, Adam, it's for you. It's a question. I want you to repeat something because you said it was counterintuitive, but I couldn't quite understand it, and I might have misunderstood it. You said it's easier to raise over $100,000 than it is to raise under, or did you say it's easier to raise under or over?
Jarrett.
The counterintuitive was that a campaign that asks for less than 100, I mean, there's more math to it, but less than 100 is more likely to raise more than 100 than a campaign that asks for more than 100, which is more than likely to fail. So when we needed 150 for our budget, if we had asked for 150, we were much less likely to get 150 than if we just asked for 75. And then, of course, because of the nice percentage bar, which is really cool up there, you know, as your campaign's completing or it's finished and you've hit your goal, when people come to the page, they're like, wow, this must be a great idea, because everyone's, you know, justified the greatness of this idea by already contributing. And so you just never want a tiny bar that looks, you don't want to give the person the impression when they come to your page that, oh, it's never going to make it, so I'm not going to bother. Like, you want some hope there when they get there, like, oh, they're going to make it, like, I'll help them make it. So
Yeah.
I guess a lower total. I don't know why. I just trusted them.
So we're going to have another panel in a second. And after that, more opportunities to get questions answered. And don't forget my promise. So I want to thank all of these gentlemen up here. But before we go, I want to encourage everybody here to go to the Being Canadian campaign. Check it out. Look at it. Enjoy it. And don't make the sound of the wallet closing. Right? No, you'll love it. And since it's the only one of these guys that's actually still running, just give it a look-see, all right?
Yeah, we have an email address. Just we have PayPal.
Or
clearly
pay
take.
these men for anything. Doesn't matter. Okay, no, thank you very much for you guys to making the time, adding value. We appreciate you. Thank you so much. So we're going to take 10 minutes. Let's have, these gentlemen, if you guys can come to the side over here, everyone on the next panel, please meet us over here and we'll trade out mics in the hopes that they might work. Or do you want to just give up on them? We just forget the, oh, we're going to get handhelds. All right, nice. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. Testing 1, 2, 1, 2. 1, 2. 1, 2. Testing 1, 2. Hello, hello. Anybody who has been identified as on panel number 2, please approach the stage now. Thank you. Hey, brother, yeah, great to meet you. Good luck. Yeah, thank you so much. Please, yeah, and keep in touch. If you have, you know, do this next panel from 7 till, it'll probably go to about 7:40. Yeah, we're going to do about half hour, 35 minutes, I think. It'll be quick. Yeah. Just email or whatever, you know, the usual. Email, text, however. Yeah, we're right in this neighborhood. Testing 1, 2. 1, 2. Okay. Okay, let's get our panel up on stage, and we'll start getting back to either taking our standing spots or our chairs. Okay, panel, let's come up and pick a seat. Thank you. Oh, sure. Yeah, let's do that. Oh, wait, you're Michael.
I believe so, yeah. You got a giant bottle of
Other people were drinking out of it.
No, brand new, I think.
It's actually bulk.
Okay, everybody who's talking, please enjoy finishing your conversation for the next 18 seconds, at which point, please, either stop talking or take it out into the lobby. 14 seconds. 10, 9. You are getting deeply interested. You are becoming incredibly attentive.
Yes.
You are passionately aware of the opportunities in front of you. Okay. Thank you. All right. Chapter 2. Who's excited? Woo! All right, let's do it. Thank you for standing up for so long. I am in solidarity with you right now. My knees are going to ache with yours for the next 35 minutes. Okay, so what we're talking about on this panel, all right, I'm going to sit down. I take it back. What we're talking, it felt strange. Okay, what we're talking about on this panel is particularly what we're calling marketing and PR. So again, let's try, if there are questions afterwards, let's try and keep it to that subject, which we'll loosely define as getting the word out to people you need to hear about what you're doing. Either people who would contribute, people who would share, or people who would write about what you're doing in whatever you want to call the media, the blogosphere. Okay? Sound good? Interesting? Awesome. So the first thing we're going to do, actually, you know what? This is a good opportunity now that everyone's actually quiet for me to stand up again for 1 second. There's one thing I want to point out that we announced this morning, which is quite salient to the people in this room, which is that while you probably are already aware, I'm sure, that Indiegogo, oh, this is good. Anybody who's standing in the back, you guys can sit, and you prefer to sit on the floor. There's floor sitting in the front. I know it's not sexy, but it's better on your knees. We invite you, please, come on down. Soon we're going to get out the maracas and the guitars and start singing.
I should, because a lot of people.
Nice. I love it. This is a family affair. I love it. Okay, so I'm sure you knew, while everyone's taking their seats, that Indiegogo already makes it possible for you to start a campaign in Canada with your bank. You can create a campaign with your Canadian bank account. We also enable your campaign to appear in Canadian dollars. I'm sure you knew that. We also are available in English or French. I'm sure you knew that, right? Maybe what you didn't know is that as of today, we were announcing that you now can process credit card payments in Canadian dollars as well. And that is a new thing that only very few countries on earth are able to do. You're welcome. Okay, so I just want to say that. Also, afterwards, we have swag. There's little free knickknacks and things that you can have out by the door. Please don't forget to grab some. Correct? Is that where they're out there? Yeah. Of course, I call them knickknacks and things, but they are extremely high-value items that you'll covet and treasure for your entire life. For a small donation, come see me personally. Cash only, $500. Okay, so that was our little announcement. So what I'm going to do is have each of you talk about your project a little bit. Just say in a snippet what you do, what your project is, and then we'll get into it. Go.
Sure. Okay, well, my name is Mike, and I'm with the Ramen Party project on the far right here, which we successfully completed on May 4th. And yeah, it's cool stuff. And essentially, we were actually sitting at a restaurant eating Japanese food, and we thought, long story short, what if there's an intersection of sort of cool design with Japanese food, with music, with like kids products? And so, you know, you can tell this is going to be fairly niche, but you know, we just wanted to do it. You know, like the creative forces behind it, John Lillian, you know, she's a professional animator, he's a professional musician. We just wanted a way to kind of put our talents to work and make something tangible, and so that's how our project was born.
My kids love your video.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Cool. Joanna.
Pick it
What's
up.
that?
Just to talk into the mic, please.
Moving it closer.
Nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Hi, I'm Joanna. I'm the founder of Knixwear. We are the women's underwear company right there. So we make high-tech women's underwear designed with women's needs in mind. And what that means is that it looks great, it fits great, and it also has technology built in that wicks away and absorbs moisture and naturally eliminates odor, so you can feel fresh and confident all day long. We just ended our campaign a week ago.
How often I have yearned to feel fresher and more confident.
We will make a men's line eventually.
I can't wait. I cannot wait. That's it.
Hey, I'm Mark Nicholas. I'm the founder of Wimoto. Wimoto is a company that makes little sensors that make your life easier. Our campaign is actually still running. I just want to reinforce that a couple of times. Our campaign is still running, so you can contribute. Basically what these sensors do is they make your life easier. They tell you to water your plants, water your lawn, push alerts directly to your cell phone. They'll tell you whether or not it's too dry in your humidor, or if your wine cellar's, you know, turning your wine into vinegar. A whole bunch of things that they do. They're tiny. They last for about a year on a single battery.
Awesome. Truly awesome. I'm in for the two-pack. True. Okay, Jennifer.
Hi there, I'm Jennifer Liao, and I am Jeremy Lalonde's producing partner on Sex After Kids, both the Indiegogo campaign and the movie.
Nice.
Hi, I'm Drew, and I'm from Matterform, and we were the highest funded campaign outside of the US ever on Indiegogo.
Woo!
Thanks. Me and my partner here made this little guy. It was a 3D scanner. It's the first consumer 3D scanner ever.
Okay, one sentence for those who don't understand. What is a 3D scanner?
You take a real object and you put it on the machine, and you get a digital three-dimensional file from it. So kind of like a regular flatbed scanner. Instead of a two-dimensional object, you get a three-dimensional object.
Unbelievable. Amazing. Okay, so we're talking about PR and marketing. Okay, so first of all, everybody should check out all of these campaigns because they're all fantastic and all so different, like ridiculously different. Not only what they've made, but also how they present themselves in their videos. And we're laughing because one of the great things about the video that you'll learn is that sometimes it can be like slick, professional, edited, produced, music, well lit, and sometimes it can be sometimes it can be not that.
Thanks,
but it can have but it can still succeed. And it's because it goes back to the thing somebody was saying that there's something we like to say is that people don't fund projects, people fund people. And that's about, you know, your mission dovetailing or vibrating or resonating with your funders. So having people really connect with you as a person and your mission in making whatever it is you're making is probably more valuable than the glitz and the slickness of your video. But that doesn't mean don't try hard in making your video. Please try hard. Okay, so so marketing and PR, outreach. So in terms of things that you learned, let's just start there. Like typically people say, holy cow, what I didn't know could fill a book, and now I know. Is there anything that jumped out about what you guys, once you were underway, that you were learning you should have done? Or was there, or that you can point to that really worked either as a surprise or as a plan?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, things you wish you had done before you started, I think that may have been one of the biggest lessons learned for us. You know, when I talked to some Indiegogo people at South by Southwest, the mantra that I'd heard was, you know, plan, like get your networks in place, get your marketing plan in place before you start the campaign. You know, this is a set of startups. I think it's true of campaigns as well. When you jump out of the plane, building your parachute on the fly is pretty tough. And you know, our campaign start date was actually externally dictated. I'm not going to get into that right now, but you know, because we had to kick off the campaign a little earlier than we thought, once you get the campaign going, it gets into a certain cadence. And the things that you wish you'd gotten ahead of, such as the video, such as you know, extending your marketing network, those are the things you're going to wish you'd have done beforehand. So if you haven't started your campaign yet, do yourself a favor, get that strategy in place and get some of that stuff rolling before you start your campaign.
Okay, you said a lot, so okay,
I'm sorry.
That's great. Wow, deep, rich value coming to you from Michael. So, okay, so you said campaign, a marketing plan. What would that, what's in that? What's in a marketing plan that you may not have even done, but you wish you did? What would you plan?
You know, for example, we had a pretty good idea what our target market was for Ramen Party. We knew the kind of audience we wanted to hit. We wanted to hit things, people like mommy bloggers. We wanted to hit food writers. We wanted to hit, you know, the kids market. We underestimate how much time it takes to gain traction with that market. You know, tweeting someone 5 times doesn't necessarily get you a lot of traction. Some of these relationships take time to build. And so getting out ahead of that would be an example of one of those things.
What would you guys guess is the amount of time it would take to get traction with sympathetic influencers? 2 days. 20 days. Raise your hand. 40 days. 60? No one knows. Excellent. So more than 2 days, let's say. So the point is, though, that it's even part of the plan, right? So reach out to influencers in your target market well in advance. Why?
Because you don't know how long it's going to take.
And why do you want to be in relationship with them?
Yeah, so to tell people.
I would even say, sort of second to that, is we had a plan. We had lists of mommy bloggers and fitness bloggers and all these different things. And very quickly we learned that our plan wasn't going to work because a lot of the people we reached out to either wanted samples, which we didn't have because we had one set that we used in the video and we used for everything, or sometimes mommy bloggers want compensation to write about different people. And that was a very harsh realization for us sort of within the first 2 days. We were like, we have a list of 300 mommy bloggers. We are totally set. And then very quickly discovered that we weren't set at all. And so I would even go further to say, come up with your plan A, and then come up with some contingency plans, or even staggering your campaign like they talked about before, and be ready to move quickly if something's not working.
Wow. Okay. Did anybody else reach out to influencers?
I think one of the major aces up our sleeve that we actually had with the way that we were planning this movie was that we had our entire cast, except for maybe 2 or 3 people, in place before we launched. And we have some actors of note in Canada as well as in other parts of the world who we had already a little bit of relationship with because Jeremy's previous film had included some of these actors. And so that was actually part of our strategy right from the beginning, was to say, we're gonna come at these people strong with these favorite actors in roles that they probably don't get to play all the time, because it's a very fun, light movie with a lot of outrageous and cool things that they'll be able to see their favorite performers doing. And so our campaign video was actually just getting all of our actors to quote funny lines from the movie straight to their webcam. It's a very, very lo-fi, low-tech, all of those things. But what it did was it showed people what the vibe of the movie was going to be. It showed them all of the cool actors we were going to have on board. And then as a final thing, we actually, and this was something that was actually an idea of one of our actors, was we had a photo shoot where all the female actors in the film are wearing like bed sheets and holding pillows and kind of looking tired because they have kids now, and so not quite as sexy as they were before. And so using all this media, we really went out to anybody that we could who might be interested in these things, and those were really fans. And I think, even though Jeremy did reach out to a lot of mommy bloggers and all types of bloggers, the fact that we were able to reach fans was a totally different thing, because they just love to tweet and talk and Facebook around their favorite stars and their favorite shows and all that type of thing. And because Jeremy is so personable and we were able to have that relationship with them throughout the entirety of the campaign, where we were really in touch with them, we answering their questions and talking to them and stuff like that, they really felt like they had a vested interest in the movie, and that was how we got the ball rolling.
Did you add the actors as campaigners on the campaign, as owners of the campaign?
Actually, no. It was they were very much like we proposed this from the beginning. It was day one. We want to crowdfund this film. Actors, are you in? Are you out? It's going to involve a little bit more participation on your part, because they do have to commit to making sure that there's a few perk fulfillment things. There's some campaign video stuff, but we wanted to make it really fun for them, and it was fun. It was fun for everybody in that way. So even though they weren't officially on the page as campaigners, all of our Twitter accounts are linked to each other, and we're talking to each other and stuff like that. So that was how we kind of spread the word.
Fun fact, Jarrett, are you in the house still? Nice. Jarrett. Jarrett. That's okay. Jeremy, hi. So another fun fact is that you can add a number of campaigners to your page, right? It can be just you. It can be you and a partner. It can be you and 5 people. Campaigns that have 4 campaigners on it raise more than twice as much money as campaigns that have 1, as a Indiegogo-wide statistic. So some of that is probably intuitive, and some of that is probably not. On the one hand, more people have a wider network. They can go out to more people, right? 1 person can reach this many, 2 can reach that many. That's probably part of it. But the other is vetting. When people come to your campaign, they're trying to decide whether or not to give you money. They look and they see just you. They're like, well, this guy could be crazy or strange or whatever. I don't know if I trust this guy. But then when there's 2, they're like, well, obviously they trust each other. And then there's 3, and you're like, okay. And if you know any of them, then suddenly it's a vetting process that is quickly accomplished. So something to consider. Another amazing fact that I'm not going to remember the numbers on is when you add your links at the bottom of the campaign. You can add, your Facebook page, your Twitter, your website, your LinkedIn, YouTube. Every single one that you add adds a double-digit percentage to your statistical ability to raise money. Every one that you add. And those are ones that everyone's like, nobody looks at those. Everyone looks at them. Back to our regularly scheduled program. So, okay, any other thoughts on reaching out to influencers? Okay, so what about PR particularly? We're talking about bloggers and press. Yeah.
I can kick that off because we had a. Sorry, can everyone hear me? We had a very interesting experience. I didn't have a base to go to. I'm a technology startup. One guy in his basement with a bunch of extra campaigners, I hasten to add, who provide advisory services and all sorts of other things. So I tried the traditional PR route. I paid for a wire service to put out a press release. And the thing I found was that when you put out press releases these days, journalists don't read press releases. There are a bunch of sites that recycle press releases as so-called news, but they don't really work for you. The other thing that we found was that there was no story. A guy in Toronto crowdfunding a technology startup isn't really news, doesn't really have a story. So as we went along, we started to build more and more of a story. And one of the stories that we're pitching to the media right now, which is actually a really good story, is we got approached by an agricultural research group to use our MOTES sensors actually in developing countries to help farmers tune the local crops to the particular local topoclimates, which is very important towards the equator now with global warming. That is actually drawing media in right now. So you need a story. Don't just have a product. Don't just sell. Build a story around your campaign. Once you have a story, the campaign will sell itself.
Anybody else having a similar experience?
Yeah, we had quite a few little bits of press, but I think we were lucky because we had a product that was a little bit different than what was already out there. So we did have a story, but I would say that like a biggest part of our PR was about momentum. And I know you mentioned this earlier about having momentum, having backers originally, and really sort of building on that. I mean, we did everything we could to try to engage our backers every step of the way to get them to continue to spread the word for us.
What are some ways you did that?
One of the ways we did that was we had a competition. So all our backers were told that, and people that weren't necessarily backers but interested, they were told that if they got the highest number of referrals to our site, then we would give them a free scanner. And I think our highest guy sent like 482 people and got like 16 sales for us. So it was well worth it.
So this is hugely helpful advice. So a referral program, can you drill a little bit into the mechanics of where you ran it, how you knew how many people were getting you referrals and whatnot?
Sure. Indiegogo has a nice little setup so that you can see everybody that comes and has a login has a specific link to your campaign page. It's a unique ID, and it's right below your campaign video. And so when they come in, if they share that link on any social media, they get a referral. And you can see those analytics on your campaign page to see who out of all of your backers or out of anybody is referring your product the most, and if there's any sales that are announced to it.
That's a back-end dashboard that you can log into. No one else can see, but
That's
you
right.
can see.
Yeah, it was only for the campaigners. That's
yeah.
right.
So that's how you saw the referrals. So how did people learn about the referral contest?
We reached out to all our backers to try to spread the word. Obviously, any social media that we already had going. It is difficult because you need to find people that aren't already backers because, why would they? So we were offering the fact that they would get their money back or they would get a second unit if they continued it for us. So.
And so what happened after you announced? Do you remember the sort of
Yeah,
sequence
we
of
did it for
events?
about a week. It was very short near the end of our campaign to try to get over that little dip in the middle. And one of the guys who was a blogger, he was a writer on, I think he was like Tech Dad or something like that. And he was a backer, but he had only backed like $1 just to follow us, and ended up winning the full scanner. So.
Awesome. And then what about earned, we call earned media. Did you said you had an advantage because you were a little different.
Yeah, our product was a little different than anything that was out there. So like Mark said, that we had a bit of a story already.
Did you feed that to press, or did they
yeah,
just
we
find
absolutely did. We reached out as hard as we could. Right at the beginning, Adam, my partner over there, he reached out to a whole bunch of blogs that he was big into. And then it just sort of picked up, and we got a little lucky with that because we went viral pretty much.
So just to keep drilling it super fine, when you say you reached out to them, what did you do? You have something unusual. You get an email, and you
just
say
cold call them.
And you say what?
And you just say, hey, I've got this. We're doing a campaign, and we've got this story for you. And if you're interested in doing a story on us, that would be great. And it's all about numbers. The more people that you call, and the more people that you reach out to, the better. So.
Do you remember who the first blog or news site that picked you up was?
I think it was 3ders.org, which was just a website for 3D printing.
Did that itself cause sort of an
Yeah, I mean,
avalanche of other things?
For sure. Yeah, there was a whole bunch of people that were like, I read you on 3Ders, I want to do a story, or there were other people that were just interested in buying that were reading on it. Yeah, it absolutely, like one little small seed, and you can definitely make that grow.
Love it. Joanna.
I would just say I got a piece of advice from another campaigner who said to look at similar campaigns to yours and look up the press that have written about them and then approach those journalists. So that's a big thing that we did. We didn't have their email addresses, but we'd follow them on Twitter. There's usually a formula to someone's email address. It's like first name dot last name at the Globe and Mail. You figure it out and you just tweet at them and whatnot. And that's how we got covered in Forbes, actually, was through that tactic.
Which one?
Through
the Twitter?
Or
the first name, last name at Forbes?
Double whammy.
Nice.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
Yeah, so one tip.
Okay, so how did you reach out to other campaigners on the site? Or did you? Or you just say you heard that?
No, I emailed some friends who knew people who had been in similar who had done campaigns, and then talked to them about what they did, and that was a piece of advice that I'd gotten from someone who'd done a campaign.
Got it. Now you can message people on Indiegogo. You can just post a message and keep it private, and it'll go directly to the campaigner, just so you know. If you feel like trying to contact other campaigners, that is possible on the site.
One of the things that we ended up doing, Jeremy mentioned earlier the chipmunk video, so that was one of the ways that we tried to keep momentum up and keep people interested in helping us out. But
I love that.
We also stumbled upon another way to get our existing contributors and possibly people who maybe just were fans and wanted to help out, to engage them, which was IndieWire, which is a independent film website. They aggregate news and they have blogs and things like that. And they do something called Project of the Week, Project of the Month, Project of the Year, where people who are in development on projects, often crowdfunding their projects, will submit and people can vote for them. So if you win Project of the Week, you get like a phone call with a great distribution company. If you win Project of the Month, you get a phone call with the Sundance Institute. You know, it kind of builds up from there. And what we did was we turned it into a little bit of a way to get everybody involved, which is to say vote for us. And that was a way to keep people just interested. And it's not really such a consequential thing. It's just kind of cool that everybody wanted to help out, and they'll encourage their friends to help out who are fans of the actors and maybe haven't even contributed yet, but just they're like, I can just click and vote for something. And so I think that was another thing that actually helped us move things along, have new stuff to talk about. When we were covered in the local media trade magazine press, they would bring that up too, like they won Project of the Week or Project of the Month on this website, that type of thing. It's just new. People want the new, and they want the latest, and they want the freshest, and they want something that is going to encourage them to keep following you and joining your campaign.
I love it. So did any of you actually have a marketing plan when you started?
We had a list of websites, blogs, and what have you that we were going to hit up, and we quickly found that most of the big ones, as I said earlier, once we approached them, they're like, well, what's the story here, or didn't get back to you. So that was pretty frustrating. But one thing I would say is keep at it. And this is no lie, I spend 4 to 5 hours a day responding to contributors, hitting up bloggers on Twitter, on Facebook, just pushing at it. And then on Monday we were on CBC, which was great. There's some comments from yours truly on the front of the Toronto Star this morning.
Wow.
There's going to be some other stuff coming up fairly shortly, so keep at it.
How did you get on the CBC?
I basically stalked one of the CBC producers via Twitter, and
Okay, go dark, go dark.
she said that they'd taped all their shows for the season, but you know, why didn't you go hit up someone else from CBC? This is his Twitter handle. Leave me alone. And I hit him up, and I told him what we were doing, and I used a few. He's got a personal web blog as well, and I used a couple of keywords from his blog, which I knew would set off alarm bells in his head. I'm like, big data this, big data that. And we're part of that and the Internet of Things, and he basically tuned in, and the next thing I know, we had a 5-minute segment on national CBC radio on Monday morning.
Great. So I'm going to try and paraphrase that word and try to call it something else. Persistently pursue your target writers. Excellent advice.
I would say we had a plan.
You had a plan?
Yeah.
So hit me.
We mapped it out. So we launched our campaign with a half-page article in the Toronto Star that we'd lined up in advance as like an exclusive.
How?
Through connections and stalking people.
Stalking.
Yeah.
I guess this is the
we
new
literally pull in every single favor that you can.
Panel number 2.
And then we moved on to mommy bloggers. And then
So hold on, I'm sorry, hold on.
Yeah.
Okay. Full page, half page?
Half page.
Okay.
Yeah.
We started with a half page feature and a major. Okay. So how you know someone who is sympathetic to the project?
Yeah, so I know people who work at the Toronto Star, and this was just sort of how we ran our campaign. We'd look on LinkedIn, see who knew people, get in touch with them, ask for introductions, look who was talking with people on Twitter, really just look at people's networks and see where you can get yourself. And then we went the mommy blogger, fitness blogger outreach.
Okay, hang on. Sorry.
Yeah.
So I want to figure this out.
Oh, okay, great. Okay,
hold on.
Okay.
So you targeted, did you target the writer? The actual writer, or did you
targeted the editor of the business section,
Okay.
who then assigned a writer to it.
Okay,
Yeah.
so you said we need person X. Let's get on LinkedIn, find person X and how we connect to them, ask for referrals, go that way, and that
Go
worked?
That way. That worked for us.
Someone
yeah.
referred you to person X.
Someone referred us to person X.
Through LinkedIn, you contact them.
Well, you can see who knows people through LinkedIn.
Right.
Is part of it,
But
right?
they refer you.
Via email.
Via email,
Yeah,
okay.
exactly. We launched, like you said, we got all of our friends and family to do the initial push, like you talked about.
Wait. Okay, so hold on.
This is
So let's
Hugo.
stay on this thing.
Okay.
Major feature, major publication.
Yeah.
So you contact the person.
Yeah.
You haven't launched. You haven't done anything yet.
No,
And what do you say?
We said we're making high-tech women's underwear.
Who could say no?
We're go behind the scenes of a crowdfunding campaign that's about to happen. We're doing something new and different. I think, again, like sort of like what you guys were talking about, if you have something that's somewhat unique in what you're offering. They thought we were crazy for taking on the women's underwear market. So I think that was kind of the angle that they were trying to get at. And then we knew that it was going to go live on the Friday morning. We made the mistake of not starting our campaign at the right time, so that was an error, definitely.
Okay.
And then by the time that the article ran, we had already reached out to our friends and family to get all of them to participate, so that when the public was going to our campaign page, we'd hit 20% of our goal.
Now, how did you know to do that?
The Indiegogo Insight blog.
Wow.
What?
I got to check this out. There's a blog on the Indiegogo page at the bottom that you can click, that when you go there, there's a section called Insights that contains wonderful
Lots of great information.
tidbits like that.
Yeah, exactly.
Note to self. So, okay. So you target this editor, you get to them.
Get to them.
How did you coordinate the scheduling of their piece and your campaign?
We told them when our campaign was going live,
and
basically, and worked around that.
And they ran it the same day?
They ran it. It went live online the Thursday evening and in the paper the Friday morning.
That you launched, but you had already lined people up.
We launched the Thursday at 5 p.m.
Nice.
Terrible time to launch. Nobody do that. But we launched Thursday at 5 p.m. And then by the time that people went to the site, they'd already seen that we'd gotten 20% of our goal. So that was sort of our initial strategy.
Beautiful. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you for drilling that down with me. That was awesome. Okay. All right. So how about anyone else in terms of a plan? Did you guys have a plan? Oh, you have a plan?
We had a bit of
But
a
you were on a constraint. You had to launch right away before you said you were ready.
Yes, that's right. And that's sort of translated as part of the marketing plan.
Launch too soon.
Unfortunately, yes.
Okay.
Well, so we were
What's the
actually
plan?
we were actually part of an accelerator program called Idea Boost, and
cool.
and back on March 20th, they had a big launch event. And so all the, you can call it like a demo day, but I mean, essentially all the companies in the cohort, they had this big media event. It was down at the Steam Whistle Brewery. It was covered by a whole bunch of media outlets. The program was supported by guys like RBC and Google, and so they had representation there. So we kind of thought to ourselves, well, on one hand, we could wait longer until we're more ready. On the other hand, we've got a pretty good chance to make a splash here. And so we kind of ran ahead with that.
Got it.
We also kind of identified kind of our list of kind of target writers, influencers, et cetera. And we knew that we didn't have A, the time, and B, the experience to really effectively market with them. And so we actually brought on a marketing partner called Third Ocean to work with us. And so, you know, and like, I'm really sorry, I don't remember.
Joanna?
No.
Mark. Oh, Mark.
Sorry, yeah. So, you know, as Mark said, I mean, it's half of a day, full-time job, you know, just consistently sort of keeping your presence up, reaching out to these people, being persistent, maybe not stalking them. So, yeah, anyway, we needed this partner to help us, you know.
Yeah.
And so in time we got traction. We got some attention from Toronto Life. We got actually featured in the Indiegogo newsletter. We got written
Nice.
up a bit here and there. We also kind of decided to ride the wave of the ramen craze. Like, it's sort of the food trend that's taking over a lot of American and Canadian cities. And so we tried to leverage that to our advantage. So we were often talked about in the same sort of space as, hey, ramen's a big craze. And hey, look, these people are doing like a thing to educate kids about ramen.
Right. Animated
Yeah.
ramen creature.
Exactly.
Right. That's awesome. Okay. So because it's super hot in here and everybody's been standing a long time, let's move to questions. And we're going to do after, we're going to take a few minutes of questions. Everybody here will still be here and be available for deeper kind of drill down if you want to follow up on anything. And are our vertical leads, are you here? Can you raise hands wherever you are? Okay, so what we'll do, is anybody going to be upstairs after this? You want to or not? Up to you. Okay, second floor, Karen over here with her hand up is with music. If you have questions about music, on the second floor there's a lovely little gallery space. You can talk to her. Amy, where are you going to be? She's going to be upstairs. Okay, is Kate in the room? Amy is social innovation, nonprofit, all kinds of wonderful charity things. Kate, are you here? Okay, John T? John Trigonis in the back, right next to the door. You're going to stick around, stay in here. Of course I am. Okay, he's in charge of film, and you can apply. He actually literally wrote the book on film, crowdfunding for film. It's called Crowdfunding for Film. So if you have questions about that, he'll be here. Who else is in the room? Who am I missing? Bree, are you here? Bree is back there. She's in charge of education, anything around the education space. Everybody here can answer questions on anything, but if you have particular burning questions about those things, you can talk to them. We have Liz, who's our head of all international. If you have questions about that, she's over here raising her hand. She's going to be on the second floor. Who else? Anyone? Who am I missing? Am I forgetting? Apologies. Okay, there you go. So let's go to some questions. Who's got questions about marketing, PR? Okay, here I come.
Okay, this is a question for all of you. So, Joanna, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you talked about how you looked at other successful crowdfunding campaigns and just saw which blogs covered them, right?
Yeah, exactly.
I've done that. I read Tim Ferriss's blog, and it actually had a thing where it said, if you take an image from a crowdfunding campaign and you actually save it to your computer, and you drag that file into the Google image search, it will show you every website, blog, PR website that's covered that picture, and usually it's that campaign. So it's a quick way to find it. So I did that and I assembled a list, but I'm having a hard time finding just relevant blogs in general. So are there any tools or resources you used to find relevant blogs just by Google searching?
I mean, we follow our competitors very closely, competing products, and so same thing, like we would set up Google alerts for not just our own product line, but also for their product line and get updates on who was covering them. That's one way. I also I begged and borrowed and got a login access for what's called Sizen, which is It's a media tracking service where it gives you the contact information of journalists. That I got like 3 weeks into our campaign. I wish I'd asked for that sooner. But there you can search kind of by beat. And I shouldn't offer this to you, but I will. So find me after, and I'll try and compile a list for you based on what you're looking for. Those were a couple tips. And then I'm also, it's escaping me, but there's another add-on that you can add to your Gmail where it sort of auto-detects the email address for you as well, where if you guess something and you get it right, the person's profile will come up.
Is that Reportive?
Reportive, thank you.
Reportive.
Yeah, nice. It's a good one too, free.
That's awesome.
I got a question about social media in general, using that in correlation with it. What did you feel that was the most important aspect of social media in relating to your campaign? I.e., was Facebook the most important thing? Having Facebook likes, like having that established beforehand, or was it Twitter that really did it? Just to give you some context, I mean, the project that we're probably going to launch for us, for our film project, we have 2,300 likes on that. Is that kind of thing critical beforehand, or was that something that happened kind of later on?
If nobody minds me answering this particular one, we did not get a lot of traditional media coverage in the same way that some of these folks did. Social media was very much the linchpin of the campaign, and if I can just go through very quickly what it is. Interaction, so important. I mean, Jeremy is so personable. That is what made the campaign. Like 100%, that's what works. Is being personable, genuine, really caring about what whoever would get in touch with you wants to talk about and that type of thing. He mentioned the thank yous earlier, like thanking everybody publicly on their Facebook page, on Twitter. He didn't mention one very important part of that, which is that you link back to your campaign when you do that. Because that means their friends will see, oh, he contributed to this campaign, we're going to click here. The one thing that absolutely shocked us and was absolutely amazing and really what made our campaign go the distance was that our largest contributions were from people who didn't know us, didn't know our actors, aren't people that are any way interconnected with anybody involved in the film. They saw us somehow on social media. And the truth is you don't know when or how or who you're going to reach, but you have to make the effort. You don't know if it's going to be one lone Facebook post on your grandmother's wall who has like 3 friends over who sees it. You don't know if it's going to be a tweet that somebody happens to see when they're on their lunch break one day. I mean, the truth, you target as much as humanly possible who you want, like who you feel like is going to find your campaign attractive. But the truth is, as long as you keep putting yourself out there as much as possible, that's what's going to give you the best opportunity to reach these people who don't know about you yet and really want to be a part of your project.
Cool. I actually have something to add to that. If you're going to post for social media, Adam mentioned this earlier, but no one had the answer. There is an actual time where everybody's doing nothing and just waiting on their computer. It's Friday at 3 p.m. So it sounds like a joke. It's absolutely 100% true. Try it. Just try posting something on Facebook, just a regular comment, and you'll see how many people you get in response to something that you get like Monday in the morning. So Friday at 3 p.m., that's a little tricky.
I love it. We're going to add that to the Insights blog right there. Here, hang on. We have one.
Good evening, everyone, and thank you. My name is Curtis Carden with Planet's Choice. My question is for a gentleman on the end there. You said you hired a marketing company. Do you recommend them?
Yeah, I mean, we had a good experience working with them. They partnered with us, took time to kind of understand where we were coming from. I mean, really, for us, we really needed someone to fill in that gap for us. Just, again, time, effort, experience. And I think it paid off for us. Like, we got exposure we normally wouldn't have.
Thank you. One more quick question. Would any of you say that most of your money comes from Canadians or Americans?
U.S. 100% for us. Sorry, it was a technical product, so U.S. was huge for us, 80%.
I'll just add to that as well. We actually data mine all of our contributions on a regular basis. 60-70% from the U.S., 15-20% from Canadians, the rest from everywhere in the world, all over the place.
We were 50-50 pretty much as well.
Great.
Mostly U.S., I think, but all over the world, and a good contingent of Canada, but I don't have the exact stats.
All right, we're going to do one more, and then we're going to break it up.
Has anyone used email as a marketing tool? And if so, was it successful?
Actually, we have, but it was after the campaign. And that might be of interest to some people depending on what your campaign is, but trying to continue the company, if it's a company or something along those lines. We're using email to basically keep track of people that are still interested but can't contribute anymore because our campaign is over. So they sign up and confirm, and that's exactly what we're doing.
We did a lot of updates, and we continue to do updates through the folks that we have on Indiegogo. When you can send out updates straight through their website, and that isn't we didn't necessarily do cold outreaches to people. That actually isn't something that was really part of what we did. But in terms of continuing the conversation with the people who have already contributed, who actually, as Adam mentioned, do contribute again if they really do feel like you're staying in touch with them and keeping them involved. That's the type of work that we did.
We used email as well, and we'd also pre-write emails that your friends and family could send. So that first 20% that I spoke about, we pre-wrote emails for all of my girlfriends to send to their female friends, for my fiance's mom who's in the room to send to all of her female friends. So yeah, we used it as a tool and then also as to keep going.
That's exactly what we did as well.
Yeah, so that's a little thing snuck in at the end, hugely important. All the way back to the beginning of your campaign, when you're doing a plan, you might want to calendar out certain communication that you're going to do based on some judgment that you have. And it might have to do with aggregating influencers to make the same communication at the same time. And to do that, you can either say, hey, can you help me? And they'll say, yeah. And then later they do or they don't. Or you can say, can you join everybody who's helping on September 3rd with this email? And they say, okay. And then when on September 3rd that morning you say, thanks for agreeing to help today with this email, include your name here. It's a great way to help people help you. Same goes for scheduled tweets. Here's a sample tweet. Here's a sample Facebook post. Put this, etc. So if you can do that, that will increase the likelihood that people help you. I don't have the data on it, but a lot. And take it to the bank, baby. So let's thank our panel, and please feel free to ask them more. Enjoy food. Spend your drink tickets. Stick around. We're here for another hour or so. Thank you so much, everybody.
What's that? Thank you. Oh, the agricultural stuff. Yeah. Well, and they found us through Indiegogo, so they saw the campaign.
Well, best of luck for the rest of it. Awesome.
And don't forget, Moat's campaign is still live. Visit his campaign and buy a Moat.
Promoting it. It's very nice to meet you. And you too. Take care of yourself. Take these ones.
Yeah. But I've read up on your product. It's really cool.
Thanks, man.
I'm going to start burying this stuff in my socks and my, I don't know, everything. My wallet, my shoes. Yeah.
You can carry them around. They're actually wearable as well. You really want to do it.
I'm a type A guy. I'll track everything. Analytics and everything.
Quantify yourself.
Yeah, exactly. Cool.